with Cubit, and thank you for joining me tonight. Before we get started, I have to tell you how much I appreciate all the love we get each week supporting these weekly conversations. Let me tell you, as long as you continue to find value in these conversations, we will keep having these conversations. So if you're looking for information, if you're looking for a little inspiration or a little hope, you have landed in the right place. I'm very excited about tonight's conversation, and I'm very excited about tonight's guest. What can I wait? This is going to be informative, and it's going to be inspiring. We're talking to you about an awesome opportunity happening right here in Oklahoma City this week. I'm pumped. Now, if you're new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. Yes, we consider you family. Be sure to go back and check out some of our past conversations on my YouTube channel. All you have to do is go to YouTube and look up Conversations with Cubit. And once you find your way there, please subscribe, hit the like button. And after you did that business, you can check out any of our past conversations. You will be glad you did. But right now, I need you to do me the big favor. I need you to share tonight's conversation. Easy, hit the share button right now. Don't keep this conversation to yourself, especially if you are a leader of any kind. Do you know a leader who is doing their very best to grow? You absolutely must share this conversation with everyone who is interested in leadership, leadership development, or even public speaking. You'll find out why later. Please hit the share button right now. Now, once again, I have sent a very special thank you, I have to Richard and Amy James, who host our weekly conversations here every week at Green Pasture Studios. If you missed it, they were here last week. Go to YouTube and check them out. The studio is right here in Spencer, Oklahoma, and it is a full-fledged movie production studio. They do so much out here, including a movie production and film academy. Do whatever you got to do. Please look up Green Pasture Studios and get all the information you need about this wonderful place out here. For those of you who have or are new to these conversations, let me tell you my 3 simple goals for these conversations. 1, I want to add value to people, and I want to add value to my community. I want to inspire you to believe in what people and communities can become when we're willing to work together. And last but not least, love people, period. No strings attached. All this means is I want you to be inspired. I want you to get useful information and resources, and I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. And tonight, I got one of those guys. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. Okay, here with me today, I have a very special friend joining me. His name is David Skidmore. David is the founder and CEO of LeaderGrowth, a business designed to help leaders overcome challenges and experience transformation. David, his friends call him Skid, just released his second book, For Love with Joy, the best way to live and the only way to die. You can listen to his podcast, LeaderGrowth with David Skidmore, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Skid is the co-organizer of TEDxOklahomaCity, and he has coached many speakers to global impact as communicators, me being one of them. And as you know, I love to be around leaders, and I love watching good leaders become great leaders. So that's why I love spending time with my man, David Skidmore. I promise you, you will enjoy this conversation. So let's just dive right in. Folks, please help me welcome my friend, David Skidmore, to Conversations with Cubit.
I cannot believe I've made it. I'm on Conversations with Cubit.
But we have conversations all the time.
We do, but you're one of my heroes. This is a place where some of my favorite people like Les Thomas.
He's been here.
Marcus Cadence Jackson.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
We went to his place, yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so I feel like I made it. I'm with The Voice. I wish I could have you introduce me anywhere I go, because you have like The Voice. It's awesome.
Alex Haley,
Yeah,
James Earl Jones.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's rich. And I don't know if we're talking about it tonight, but I think we have to comment on the fact that the beard looks amazing.
It's a little overgrown, but we're going. I have to get a head start on No Shave November.
I said
have to get a running start.
And you said
I'm going for the Sean Connery.
I think you pull it off nicely.
Yeah, shaken, not stirred, baby.
Yes.
And if anybody out there is calling this gray, you're wrong. It's platinum, baby.
Platinum.
That's right.
Beards.
Platinum. It's a step above.
I got a little platinum coming in here.
There you go. Own it. It. Don't resist it.
Can't run from it.
All right, David. So I know all about you. Well, I think I do. I feel like I do. But there's a lot of people that know, has been impacted by the work you do. So they know you really well. But for those that may not know you, give us, and I'm not even looking for the Reader's Digest version. I want to know who you are. Tell the story. Who are you? Where's the Skidmore story?
I mean, I consider myself, I was thinking about it tonight coming over. I consider myself somebody who's really been blessed with family and friends and opportunities that I didn't really deserve growing up. But they just, I think either through, just God's kindness or, people unlocking different doors for me and opening those, gave me a lot of opportunities. So youngest of 3 kids. I have 2 older sisters, grew up my
The baby boy.
Baby
The
boy.
baby boy, okay.
And all the things you get about babies, that's probably me, like wants to be center of attention, and all of that stuff. But dad was a preacher. And so we moved a lot growing up. I'm not a native of Oklahoma, but I chose it, and I've been here over half my life now. So I consider myself an Okie.
Yeah. We own you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get rid of me. Let me stay.
Yeah.
Let's work on the thermostat in the summer, though. So
In the
Ohio, Michigan, Missouri, and Utah. So I grew up all over. Had to make friends in different places, and I didn't really want to do anything around the world of public speaking. I wanted to be a basketball coach. And,
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
there's the height. There, you got the height.
Well, it was my dream. I was the proverbial gym rat, and in the summer I was up there early and late, and all of those things. But I wasn't good enough to play long term, and so I started looking at different opportunities, and it was probably when I was like 14, 15 years old, and I saw a couple guys speaking. It was at a conference. And the way that they could carry a crowd inspired me. And so every once in a while I get a chance in front of, maybe like 10, 15 teens. I'm a teen, so nobody's. Thanks for putting up with some of those messages, whoever was out there at that time. But that ended up giving me some opportunities, and I ended up loving that entire world of public speaking. I was in a faith setting, and so, whether that's church camp or different things, it was just like, that's what I want to do. And so ended up coming down to Oklahoma Christian University. Cool story. Met a guy who he said, hey, if you're good enough, I'll take you all over the country with me. And I was like, I'm coming here. Because that was just such a unique opportunity. And so, I came down and studied, and so that was kind of the roots or the foundation of my life growing up, and then as well coming here to Oklahoma.
Okay, so you've been doing some public speaking.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where we met. Was it through SALT? Was it through?
I think it was probably SALT, but was it maybe? I met you before, but I think I got to know you at Wes's house.
Yeah, over some cigars.
Yes.
And maybe some really cool scotch.
Yes.
Some cigars.
I didn't even know
how
to. I was like, how do you drink this?
Yeah. Some cool guys. There's a Tuesday night gathering where we get together. So that's probably where we got to share stories a little bit.
Yeah.
And then TEDxOKC.
Yes.
Came in early, but when I became introduced to it was 2018, 2019.
Yeah, 2018, 2019.
And I got an invite. Or I'm going to say it was a mandate. You didn't really give me, I didn't really have a whole chance to say no.
I think I said I need you.
to say no. And we talked about so much I didn't know where we was going to go. But you coached me into narrowing it into a single lane, which I so appreciate. If anybody ever wanted to do a TED Talk, we'll talk about that later because TEDxOklahomaCity is coming to Oklahoma City.
This Friday,
this week. And you all have an opportunity and it is phenomenal if you've never, ever been to a TED event.
Yeah.
It is, just leave with so much hope and so much inspiration and you thinking about, it just unlocks different lane of thinking. Talk about what your plans are for this TEDxOKC.
Yeah, Waylon, I think that this TEDxOklahomaCity, what's unique about it is we're addressing this topic of normal. Normal. So we intentionally misspelled it. Norm all. And the idea is, after the past couple of years. What does normal look like? We're all finding a new normal. There's and what does normal look like for all of our city? And you know, I don't think that necessarily comes from people who are saying this is the definitive answer, but hopefully asking some questions on the day about how do we go about life going forward in a way that helps elevate life for every person in this city. And I believe that our speakers are carrying messages for that day that are unique to this city, but will also speak to a larger audience as well.
So I'm looking at some of the lineup here. I'm looking at some of the names.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about what is normal, Perry Lott. Perry Lott's a friend of mine who was incarcerated a long time, wrongfully.
Yes.
Wrongfully convicted. And so you're going to say, what is normal when it comes to our criminal justice system?
Yeah.
I see Debrion Davis, who is a powerhouse educator in Edmond.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she's a hero of mine.
She's amazing.
So you're going to talk about what's normal in education.
And how do you lead in a crisis? I mean, Debrion has, and what I love about, I don't want to give it all away, but she's going into some of grandma's wisdom and then showing us the science behind it. And when you marry like family, but also like kind of like ancient wisdom that's so practical, and then you bring science to it, you're like, oh, that's how you lead in a crisis. And that's how she's done that so well, that it's just continued. Like you see her life, she just continues to elevate and grow.
Chris Brewster.
Incredible. I mean,
Chris Brewster.
what would you say about Chris Brewster?
Well, I can tell you that you probably didn't have to do much coaching with him.
Nope.
Yeah, he is a professional.
Yes.
Well, I think maybe Chris is probably a professional at everything. He's professional at raising kids. He's professional at teaching kids. He's professional at leadership. He's professional at speaking.
Yes.
He's professional at leading. Where are you grabbing him at? Is he doing education? What's he doing?
Yeah, so Chris is talking about, when we talk about normal, what does it mean for our community to thrive? And if we're asking questions about like a thriving community, Chris comes in and asks like, what if every child were to thrive? If we look at Oklahoma City, it's not going in a way where children are going to thrive. And even if you look at, like how many kids are learning as far as reading and, some of the critical thinking skills, long term, we have to ask, like, are we setting them up for success? So I know we have so many people who are pouring their hearts into kids and all of that, but it's asking a question, what if our community valued that in a way where we asked, are the future generations really going to thrive? And I think that that's an important question. We see great things happening downtown in Oklahoma City. There's some revitalization here on the east side, East Point, all of these cool things happening, but then we have to ask what's happening to our children, because that's ultimately—
Don't want to leave them behind.
Yeah, that's where the story's going.
I love it. So there's Corey Hall, but then, and she's phenomenal. I've interviewed her one time. But here is the couple of big ones for me, a couple of big ones. And I know there's some other people I don't know, so I don't want to go to naming names, but Les Thomas.
Oh my goodness.
The hype man of hope.
Yes.
The hype man of hope.
Yes.
I don't know how you narrow him down. He's everywhere. he's all things.
He is.
What I would be so intimidated to be on this lineup, but I'm so glad I got mine out of the way.
Les is, I honestly feel like Les is walking TEDx talks.
Yes.
You could, on any given day, you could hand him a microphone, he could walk on stage, and he could give you a talk of a lifetime just after waking up. Like that's who he is. But I think that what's different about this is you're gonna get into Les's story. You're gonna find out more about where he comes from. I know you know, but our greater audience is gonna find out about that. But he's sharing some stuff in his talk and taking, I think what we're asking here at this point in time is vulnerability gonna be our normal? Are we gonna take risks? And if we all start risking the way that Les takes risk in his talk, we're gonna have a better community for it, because I think that to share what he's sharing is one of the most brave things that a person can do.
But here, in all fairness, people need to know that there's public speaking things.
Yep.
And there's tons of opportunities to speak. But the TED stage is up there.
Yeah.
It is up there. It literally changes people's lives after they complete a TED Talk.
Yeah.
And not just because of the exposure. And here's what I learned from my TED Talk. The exposure does something for you, right? The TED exposure. But what you have to pour into the talk, the vulnerability, what you have to give to it, changes the giver of the talk, right? I'm not the same guy, even preparing for that TED Talk, that I was after I gave the TED Talk.
Can you talk about that?
Nope, I'm not letting you switch, but I'm not the same guy. So what I mean is, I had to do so much soul searching to make sure that I don't give the audience less than who I am or more than who I am.
Yeah.
I had to be authentic to who I am.
Yes.
And that facing that truth changes a person.
Yes.
So what they're gonna see is authentic people, real stories, vulnerability, and the truth.
Yeah. It's, there's a book called The War of Art. And I believe like that stage, because of how, as our culture perceives it, people know that like when you're giving a talk, and we don't pay speakers. We're not allowed to. But the level that people go to in pouring their hearts out is amazing. I remember when Sean Eskinosi gave a talk, same year as you, and session one, he was our final speaker in session one. And going into it, he would spend every morning from about, I think, 7 to 9, when he would normally be at his factory making chocolate and overseeing everything, and he would go to a park and he would work on his talk. And he did that for months leading up. And then when he finally gave his talk, it was amazing, because if you listen and if you watch, like in the final 5 seconds, he says, and maybe you'll find, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, maybe you'll find your feet don't touch the ground either. And in the final phrase, his voice catches, and it's the emotion of what happens. And yes, it's profound what he's saying, but it was actually because he had poured his heart and soul into it. And when you go to that place, there's nothing left. Like, you've given everything for all those months, and it was like, here I am.
Yeah, and you're just out there. The light is on. There's nobody that's come and save you. It's like, it's not even like in a boxing match. Yeah, it's you, but there's somebody else that might trip and fall. You're the only one that can trip and fall on a TED stage. One more person I want you to talk about is he is the most creative, probably one of the most. You two are pretty creative. Taylor Doe. He is going to give a talk, and I've gotten just a few previews, a few texts of things that he's thinking about, and I, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I was thinking about, Les, and so many people know Les because they get to see him at the OSU games. He's just seen around, he's always communicating, right?
Right.
And Taylor is doing significant things, and usually behind the scenes. Now people know him, people know Tito.
Everybody knows him.
But he doesn't draw any attention to himself. It's just like, he's very quiet in how he goes about it. But I believe Tito, I think Taylor Doe has one of the most important talks for this moment in time, because he's literally in his talk, he's going to shift a narrative of what we do with opportunity and how we view it. That's all I can say. I can't dig into it anymore.
Yeah.
But I believe that, he's sharing a few keys in his talk that, if people lean in, and it's a technology talk. When we often, and Taylor's a technology guy. When we view technology, we usually think digital. But his talk is how we apply science and how we're able to work those very things into our life to provide a better world. That's what the heartbeat of his talk is. And I think what's amazing this year is, every year you have talks that can get out. There are a lot of talks that can get out and be shared with the world.
Right.
And I believe that's one of the best secrets, best kept secrets of Oklahoma Cities. We have people who can carry those kind of messages, and Taylor has one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a full day, so you break it into, and so we only talked about half of the lineup,
Yeah.
right? We only talked about half of the day of the people that I know, and there's some other heavy hitters on
Yes.
there. But I did some homework on, and I'm like, I need to know these people. So
Yeah.
please introduce me on the side. I want to know these people.
Yeah.
So tell me when and where, and then I want to transition to talk to leadership.
Okay. Tower Theater, this Friday, September 9th.
Yeah.
Anytime I get going with the dates, man, I'm
Yeah,
in
yeah.
trouble. Please give me the organizational people to help me.
Yeah.
9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll have 4 sessions in the day. I can't tell you all when people are going to be speaking. And
You
all
just
that,
got to dive in.
But it's
Can
gonna
you
be
go
all
half
day.
days? Can you purchase half days?
You can't purchase half days, but if you could only show up for half a day, you'll want to be there.
Yeah.
It's $22 to get in. It's a couple lattes. So, just invest in yourself. We have some amazing people performing on that day. Dean Brody Menz is going to be there. Sig Carter, Sean Johnson. We're going to be talking about his crossover from going from music into film and like what that whole process has been like. And so I feel like this day is a day for the city that we get to celebrate not just like some of the unique things that are happening, but also as a city and as a community where we've come from and where we want to go in the future as well.
I can tell you, everybody that's trying to do more, trying to be different, trying to make a transformation in their life, never misses TED. They never miss TED because they always get an idea that shapes their mind.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss it. Now, here's the thing. Second book, For Love with Joy,
Yeah.
The Way to Live and the Only Way to Die. This is your second book.
Second book.
I know it has something to do with leadership. I know it has something to do with transformation. Give me some, talk about this book.
Yeah, so this book, I think this is a 4-year project. So I released Unstuck during COVID, and that's 2020. And I wrote that actually pretty quickly. Like I started it, I had been writing maybe a couple of weeks, but before COVID struck.
And COVID just said, I got nothing else to do, right?
So I needed a project. Everybody else watched Tiger King. I wrote a book. So that was about 3 months, and got Unstuck out. For Love with Joy started 4 years ago. More than that though, because for Love with Joy, Waylon, 2015, my mom gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. When I find out, it's like we have to do brain surgery. Because if not, like we're looking at like weeks or months. So we have to do that like this weekend. And my parents were living in Boise, Idaho then. And so I ended up, flying up on that weekend. And anyway, that's January 23rd, 2015. And then June 23rd, 2016, she passed away. And so the story is about my own walk, like experiencing grief on the front side, and also like what that was like walking with her, but then as well, like on the other side, what did life look like? And, I think sometimes like when we start off with leadership, we start off with principles. The best leaders I know always start with people. And so I believe at this time, like most of us are kind of tired of all the cliches, but we really want to know people. And so, in many ways, it's my own authentic journey of just what I've gone through, where I've been. And I think in that as well, like I got glimpses into a meaningful life. I got glimpses into a purposeful life where when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, there are a lot of different responses, and sometimes we could say like, "Why me, God?" And she said to our family, she's like, "Why not me?
Why not?" Yeah.
And that's a different kind of perspective. I know like a lot of people have gone through similar things. During COVID, a lot of people lost somebody. In fact, I remember at one point I looked and I realized every person I was close to had either lost somebody or knew somebody who had lost somebody. And I didn't ever remember a time like when that happened over like 6 months or a year. And that was when I realized I got to finish this because it's happening so quickly. We don't have a space to talk about it. Everybody was at home alone. And so Yeah, it's an emotional book.
Right.
It's most vulnerable thing I've ever created in my life. It was hard to get out there, but I'm grateful to be able to share it with people.
You've done a lot of work. Tell me, and this is a tough question.
Yeah.
And don't flip it on me because I can't tell you.
Okay.
But what is your all the work, because you've done it in so many different spaces, it's so creative. What's your most proud piece of work? What are you most proud of?
I think
Is it that book?
Joy. Yeah, I think it's for Love with Joy, because, you know, like when you create things, like you always want something to matter. And I think, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, like I think when you create things, like there's always, there's a level or layer of like lights in production, and those things are exciting, right? I mean, we've done film together.
Yeah.
This was like, I mean, I remember when I was first writing this in 2018, I remember like writing at a Starbucks on a fall night and like beginning to weep as I was writing. But I knew like what I was writing, I couldn't stop because it was getting somewhere. My friend Adam Palmer, he's like, and he edited this for me. He says, sometimes you write it and sometimes it writes you. And so there were moments like that. And so like I would finish a chapter and then I would walk to the bathroom and weep. And, you know, I say that because I feel like that felt really risky and vulnerable and scary to share it. And like, even once I put it out, like on the other side, I've had days and I've been like, man, why did you do that?
Rip that page out.
Yeah, like just like take it off of Amazon, you know, and it's like, it's too late. Like it's already out there, you know? And I think that's part of it is if it doesn't, to quote somebody, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. I think that's something you said.
Yeah, right.
So I had, in a similar way, I had to pour myself into it to a point where it was like, there's nothing left for me to go into on this project anymore. And you know, that's my heart. My mom's middle name is Joy. And so that's why it says For Love with Joy. It's all lowercase, but the J is capitalized. Well, it's because like that's her. And so, you know, I hope that it honors her in that way. But yeah, I think that's the one that is most meaningful to me.
That's good. I need a copy. Signed though, of course, by the Skid.
I got you.
You do, and I listen to it from time to time. I got several of these that I listen to. This is in my rotation. LeaderGrowth, the podcast.
Yeah.
Where you get to talk to all kinds of leaders from diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
I want to know what you're learning from these conversations. Oh, wow. Yeah, to help the leaders out here. What are you learning?
That's the fun thing about having a podcast is you get to have conversations with some of the best leaders.
Yeah.
And ask anything you want and learn from them.
Right.
You know, so I think one thing I'm learning is people say this all the time when they're leading people, but recently I've become amazed by how little I know. And so kind of coming back to that foundation of like, oh man, like I thought I knew more, and I've been very humbled by like some of these people, you know, like I just had Drake Cyphers on, and Drake is talking about the entrepreneur's mind. And we're the same age. I think I might be a couple years older than he is, but the things he's saying and how he's talking about, like how he sees challenges and problems and then addresses them, he does it so quickly. And so I'm like trying to go, okay, how does Drake think about that? And so then I'm able to translate some of those things in. When I start getting overwhelmed with a challenge, I'm like, okay, how would Drake think about that currently? Chris Murray just talked about short form media, you know, the direction things are going. If I hadn't talked to him, I wouldn't know. Like TikTok is now like the biggest search engine in the world. It's past Google. And so, you know, a lot of leaders are going, I don't want to use short form media. I don't want to do all this stuff. I don't want to be ticky-tacky, you know, all that. Well, that's where the next generation is. And even that's where a lot of this generation is. So, you know, how are you communicating your message? How are you communicating vision in a way that impacts people? And if you're not using some of these mediums, and then as well, you know, getting to sit down with people of wisdom like you. I had you on, you know, I had Frank Smith on, I had Wes Lane, and, you know, those are people that I'm still like, I don't know how I got it.
Yeah.
I got in the room and got invited, or like into relationships.
Well, they say yes. I wonder
exactly.
why people say yes to come on.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, like I can sit down and I can learn. And I think that the other thing is, like the best conversations are when you're not trying to have the conversation. So when I first started it, I was just trying to get to the right conversation. And the more I'm doing it, the more that I'm learning, like, just kind of like the art of it and what makes it good, and getting more comfortable with silence.
Right.
Asking the harder question that I don't want to ask, because sometimes I have people pleasing tendencies, but I'm like, I got to push on that a little bit and like find out what's actually there, or challenge them.
Yeah. So then I want to talk about that part right there for leadership.
Yeah.
I am up to right here. I'm just up to here with bad leadership, poor leadership, ineffective leadership.
Yeah.
Where do you see leaders failing at today? You've talked to all of the good ones. You've talked to a lot of the good ones, maybe not all of them. You've talked to some great ones. And then when you look out at the landscape at leadership, people that have positions and titles, where they're failing?
That's a really good question.
That's why, hey, that's why they pay me here. Yeah.
So I think a couple areas. One area that people are feeling a lot of weight and failing in is burnout. Because like on the other side, they haven't ever gotten to the other side. And we're not totally sure how to do this thing. So there's an interesting book in some of our training, we actually go through it, but it's on frontal fatigue, which is on your prefrontal cortex. It's not designed to take in the social media content that you're taking in. Literally, our devices and all these other things are wearing our brains out. The level of Netflix, everything else. So our brains are so worn out, we cannot engage. And people are exhausted, and then they're feeling the demand of, I have to produce more. And so what they're seeing is like unlimited options and unlimited content. They feel behind on things. They use that to check out, and it's not a rewarding habit loop for them.
I like that, because what you said, and I'm on what they feel. And so if I was to say where leaders are failing today, you kind of explain what I believe is happening, is they're leading through feelings first.
That's good.
Right? And all of this content is making them feel a certain way, ups and downs and behinds and rushed and everything. But they're leading with feeling. But I think the greatest leaders start with people first. Second, they move to principle. And the last thing they lead from is their feelings. Right?
It's tough to do.
It's tough to do, because feelings rush to the front. They want to be acted upon. But leaders say, no, my people are first. Then I apply principle. And then I'll acknowledge the feelings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, good stuff. Where are you working on? Because you always got something. So yes, you're going to do TEDx this Friday.
Yeah.
Yes, the book is out. Yes, you got leadership. But I already know that you're already months ahead. Where are you? What are you working on now?
So I'm working on two things.
Okay.
I'm going to start personal.
Okay.
My friend Don, he says one of the most important things you can do as a leader is to be a non-anxious presence in the room.
Ooh, okay.
So you think about that, like if we're working off of feelings, everybody's just kind of like reacting and like what's happening in front of us, and if you're a leader who can be present, and even when your situation is tanking, and you can be clear and you can think clearly and say, I'm going to listen, I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to remain constant, you can keep moving forward. And as time goes on, people are going to look to you. I see a lot of people throwing their hands up and going, I don't know. And then you have other people, because they feel so worn out that they're like, I don't really care anymore. Like I can't do anymore. And what ends up happening is a lot of times they end up in manipulation, they end up in coercion, and they end up micromanaging people. They end up like not actually delegating and empowering, they end up like controlling. And there's a difference between controlling and leading. And so, like I see those tensions a lot, and it comes back to people are weary. So the first thing you have to do, I think, is you have to fill your own tank. I feel that same pressure over the past couple of years. Everybody's in it. Every leader I talk to feels the same pressure. And so I believe one of the most important things you can do, and one of the things I'm working to do over the coming months, is practically, how do I fill my own tank day after day, week after week, month after month, have the rhythms and the routines, because I'm not trying to peak like in the next 6 months or next year. I'm trying to do this over the next 30 years.
Wow. So just finished reading Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Kevin DeShazo.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And he talks about this living in the moment, enjoying the journey, right? And I kind of got stuck on a principle that you just kind of highlighted, was you cannot have one eye on the mountaintop and on your feet at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're looking at the goal and not concentrate on the journey, you misstep and slide backwards, right?
Yeah.
So you need to concentrate in making sure steps.
Yes.
Quit trying to take these huge leaps.
Yes.
But just stay in the moment, step by step by step. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Right. And leaders, we're so focused on the goal. We got to get these. We got to get these benchmarks. We got to produce. We got to win.
Yeah.
We got to affect the bottom line. So it's hard to keep looking up when the problem is right there. The next step.
Yes.
The next step. Oh,
there's just such a level, I think, of people feel it. There's a level of, I've been gritty for a while, but I don't know if Marcus. Let's just say I've been getting gritty for my city.
Yeah.
He's a leader who's like pushing it because he wants to shape something for the community. If we're going to be gritty, then we have to show up and do those things day after day. And I think like one of the most challenging things is, as you just said, is we're way overestimating what we can do quickly.
Yes.
The great things don't happen quickly. And so, Waylon, like literally what I'm trying to do right now is like in the morning, get up really early, drink water, and then get going in creative mode. Nobody's up. I'm not texting anybody. I'm not checking social media. I'm not doing any of that. I'm locked in. I'm focused on those things. I think sometimes when we're in that zone, we want people to validate it. And so, we're like tweeting and Facebook, I'm on my grind. And it's like, if you're on your grind, you don't have to say, because you're going to do it day after day.
Right.
You did that for years, just showing up, doing work. And because you did it so consistently, like you ended up building fact mentoring. You ended up building like a legacy in this community. You ended up building a presence because you just did those things again and again and again. And so, I look at guys like you and I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be consistently excellent, and hopefully like over the next 10, 20, 30 years, it ends up paying out.
Do the small things well. Do the small things well.
Yeah.
And do them every day. Yeah. And do them over and over and over. I say the leader is the person that is willing to sacrifice what they want for what other people need over and over and over and over and over.
Let me ask you
again.
about that.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're at a point, because I know you hit these points. When you're at a point where you're like, okay, I've sacrificed 100 times and I don't have anything left in the tank today. Like, what do you tell yourself then?
I woke up. He woke me up.
Yeah.
He woke me up. The job's not done. If the job is complete, then I won't wake up.
Wow.
If my feet hit the floor, I'm saying, watch out, devil. I'm going to give you hell today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to go do it. With everything he gives you, you're supposed to serve with it.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Yes.
Right?
Except in the times when I end up making it about myself, and then it ends up getting pretty dangerous.
You get ahead. Right? You see an opportunity, you get ahead.
Yep.
You see, I mean, that happens. I'm not saying that I haven't had those slips. But anytime you start making it about yourself, but you have to practice making it about others over and over and over, because your natural thing is to feed yourself. That's the natural thing. You came out into this world looking for Me. That's the natural thing. You have to practice leading for others. It takes time.
Who did you see do that? Like, and who do you think about on that? Because that's not popular today.
Well, you'd have to look at your parents.
Yeah.
Right? I look at my parents. I look at my grandmother. I look at people in my church who consistently showed up for other people over and over and over again. Even at their own loss. And so, and then I look back and go, those people had to take L's for me to win. Those people had to sacrifice for me to win. How dare I just hoard all the wins and not take a little L's for them?
Wow.
It's not what it's for.
So as a leader, you're willing to take an L.
I'm looking for the long haul.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for the long.
Big W, which might mean like from what it feels like today, I might just sacrifice that. I might give that.
Yeah.
One of the things I've been challenged by the most is like in the kingdom of heaven, right? Like if you're a good steward, you're given more responsibility. And when you're given more, it's to steward it more. And I think like when we read the parable of the talents or talk about things like that, it's like, okay, yeah, like I want to do more and get more. And it's like, yes, because I do want to max out. And also like, am I stewarding well what I have currently? Because if not, I don't necessarily
get any more
to go get more. And I don't necessarily need to even pursue more. I need to pursue going deeper. So like you asked me earlier, like, what are you working on next? Well, like one thing is like, I'm working on just going deeper. Like I'm trying to do these habits daily so that I can like just dig in more. But then the other side is like, yeah, there are writing projects, there are things like that. But I think like now, the biggest thing I'm trying to do is elevate others in the process, because I'm finding that when you influence a leader, you influence everybody else that they impact.
Yeah. That's the, when we talk about proudest moments, and I have so many things to be proud of starting at home, but professionally, Taylor Doe has a whole brand called this, but in my mind, I want to be the transition. I want my name to be the transitional word when somebody tells their story.
Oof.
Right?
Yes.
So when David says, man, I was rocking along, I was doing my thing, and everything was good, and then I met Waylon and I transitioned
Yes.
to another thing.
Yeah.
And then and as I was going on this thick, and then I met David, and it took me and when I did that TED Talk, it's because I met David and then my things changed. Right? I want to be that when they tell the story, their life got better because my name was mentioned in their story, not worse.
Yes. That's what I want to.
Right?
I think
that's leadership.
Yeah.
That's leadership. When I joined this company, it changed me because of the way they did it. When that became my supervisor, it changed me for the better. So every single person you meet, I might be the transitional piece, but I want it to be the transitional piece for good.
That's so good.
Right?
Yes.
Man, we can talk forever and ever and ever. So again, this is my man, David Skidmore, the Leader Growth Podcast, TEDxOKC, happening this Friday, all day long, 9 a.m. There's $22. If you want to go and you can't pay the $22, DM me. I got you. I'm going to make sure you go see this talk.
Come on.
Yes, we're gonna make sure you don't miss it. If you want to be there, you're gonna get there. That's it. I love you, brother. Thanks for helping everybody make impact around the city. Keep teaching leaders and keep holding leaders accountable. I love it. Thank you so much, and thanks for the book. That's Conversations Cubit, and we'll see you Friday at TEDxOKC.